Hey folks, it's Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. Before I get started, I want to thank all of you guys for your support, all of you that have subscribed. Already past 15,000 subscribers, and all those comments are really appreciated. Whenever you share, like a video, it really encourages me to keep doing more videos. So I cannot thank you enough for that. This video is going to be about defensive tools and strategies for women and senior citizens. It's because of an email that I got, and I have addressed this email in my website, themodernsurvivalist.com. The link is going to be there below in case you want to read that. It says, "Hello, I enjoy reading your blog and have followed much of your advice. My question, do you have a suggestion of a defensive tool that would be appropriate for a senior woman who lives in a country where a gun would not be the answer? Knives would be too easily turned against me, and as you have pointed out, are very dangerous in a close fight and hard to defend against. Thanks for any suggestions, and would bet that other women would benefit." This is from DV. Well, yes, as you say here, a knife it is very effective, but it does require a certain amount of physical strength. You don't need to be a martial art expert, and many people are. They spend their entire lives mastering martial art weapons and such. But for a knife, with a few basic pointers and some basic understanding of how a knife should be used for defense, you can do quite a bit. But you do require a certain amount of physical strength so as to keep control of that knife. Women have used defensive knives in defensive situations in the past quite effectively. But again, you still need a certain amount of physical strength. Now, what to do if you don't have it? What to do if you are not as strong? If you are a woman or older person, you have other tools available as well. All right. In the email, it says specifically that a gun is not a possibility. Whenever possible, I always suggest dedicating the necessary time so as to get a gun, know how to use it. It's the equalizer when it comes to violent confrontations when facing criminals, when being in a disadvantage in terms of size and strength. The firearm has always been the greatest equalizer you could have. Now, if that's not an option, and if knives present the disadvantage that we were making reference to before, doesn't mean that you don't have any other choice. You can do things from basically attack the problem from two sides, from a passive defensive tactics and active defensive tactics that you could use. When it comes to passive defense, there's things that will go a very long way, and these are mostly common sense things, but common sense, as you probably know, is not as common. And whenever I think about this, I think of my 90-year-old grandmother. 90 years old, and she's lived most of her life in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and still managed to stay safe. What she does, it's actually pretty simple. She knows her neighborhood, her environment. She knows the safest parts of her surroundings and sticks to those blocks. And she sticks to the time frame that she knows it's safest, when there's the most people out there on the streets. So she avoids dangerous times. She avoids dangerous places. Then some of the other things that criminals will be looking for, like very fancy jewelry, watches, cell phones, fancy purses, or anything that makes a more attractive looking target. If you can avoid that, especially when living and moving around dangerous places, that will all make you less attractive in the eyes of a criminal, right? This alone can go a very long way. Now, what happens when you are actually confronted in a violent situation with a criminal? What can you actually do? Act in terms of active defense. Well, we've ruled out a firearm. We've ruled out knives. You do have pepper spray, which is actually pretty effective. I recommend Saber Red, which is one of the best known brands. It's actually one of the most effective ones. Pepper spray, within its limitations, it's quite effective. It's not as good as a gun, but it will blind. It will make it hard for a person to breathe correctly, and it will give you enough time so as to flee or get help. It is quite effective within its limitations. Then you have things like personal alarms. Sometimes whistles are recommended. I like personal alarms a little bit better. Just like small gadgets like keychain fobs, you just pull from them and they have a loud pitch sound that criminals do not like. Criminals do not like when attention is being brought towards them, toward that a moment when they're committing the crime. Even bald criminals that do these kind of things in broad daylight in front of other people, they still want to have as little attention as possible and get done as fast as possible. Whenever a loud noise, an alarm goes off, it just puts them in a bad place. Something similar happens with a flashlight. A tactical flashlight, a very bright one, can be used as a deterrent as well. You've seen it used by police officers, blinding people. Some of the tactical flashlights over 200 lumens are very bright, and they are both psychologically and physically powerful. They blind the attacker. The strobe is, there's quite a bit of discussion, but a strobe has its uses as well. It puts you in a position of power in comparison to the other person that is being blinded, that cannot see you. It's also a literal spotlight on the attacker, which, like the sound, they do not like that. So it's all things that work in your favor. Folks, if you want to learn a little bit more about what life is in a place like Argentina, I recommend my first book, The Modern Survival Manual. If you want to learn a little bit more about getting out of a place like Argentina, I recommend my second one, Bugging Out and Relocating. Both would be of interest for you guys interested in that sort of thing. Folks, take care, have a great day, and as always, see you on our next video.